Today on CityCast Nashville, if you were completely captivated by the story of Ed the runaway zebra, welcome to the club. Ed's great escape got us thinking about Nashville's long and slightly bizarre history of animals on the loose. Councilmember Erin Evans from District 12 joins us to talk all things animals gone wild right here in Middle Tennessee. It's Monday, June 16th. I'm your host, Marie Cecile Anderson, and this is what Nashville's talking about. Erin, you are the council member of District 12, representing Hermitage and Mount Juliet. Do you know why you are here?
I have enjoyed over my last 6 years in office of posting about animals getting loose in my council district.
Ding, ding, ding.
Oh, that's amazing.
Erin is the queen of loose cows.
It's
what
true.
a title.
Why do you have so much escaped livestock in District 12?
So, out here in the suburban / kind of more rural areas, there's still a lot of farmland. And so there are subdivisions next door to farms. And so I've had cows get out. I have had donkeys, sheep roaming the streets.
Is it like a whole bunch of different cows from different farms getting out, or just the same cows?
So my worst cow that got out all the time, where I'd have to call and tell the owner, hey, your cow's out again. He's eating the neighbor's bushes when they're mad and all this stuff. Well, anyway, one day I saw this owner at a community meeting and I was like, I haven't seen that your cow's out anymore. And he's like, well, the one that was the ringleader, he's like, I sent it to market.
Oh.
And I was like, oh no. So I have that particular issue remedied itself, and is unfortunate.
Of life.
You just reminded me how much I want a burger from Joyland.
It's a vacuum, though. Nature does not like a vacuum, and so other cows have filled in its place.
Would you rather have to wrangle loose livestock or drunk tourists?
Ooh. Great question, Whitney.
Yeah, that is a great question. I think it might be easier to wrangle the livestock.
All right, well, let's get into some of these other animals that folks see around here. Perhaps the most consistent, exotic, wild animal that pops up in and around Middle Tennessee is the black bear. Our latest encounter happened earlier this month when a black bear was found sadly dead beside Vietnam Veterans Boulevard in Gallatin. And it is very hard to talk about this without noting that our roads are apparently not safe for anyone.
I guess we need to really work on our pedestrian infrastructure and make it a little bit more friendly to, people and animals. But kind of related to that, I have had a lot of questions about how can we create more wildlife crossings to make it, safer for animals. And so that definitely fits in and tracks with what you're talking about.
Yeah, the animals should get to choose how they move.
All right.
Oh my gosh, we're going to see a black bear on a WeGo bus going downtown any day now. Well, next up, emus. People love to keep emus as pets for some reason. Earlier this year, while on his Midtown Hills beat, police officer Brent Bauer received a call that an emu was on the loose. And just for listeners at home, if you don't know, the emu is the second tallest bird species in the world, coming second to the ostrich. Luckily, this officer didn't have to participate in a high-speed chase, considering emus can run up to 31 miles per hour. Officer Bauer used snacks. He got some snacks and he lured the emu back in. And MNPD said that he was able to safely wrangle the sassy emu back into her enclosure.
I mean, snacks work on me too.
Come here, Whitney.
Ooh. Erin, does anybody have emus out in District 12?
No, I have not seen any emus, but I will say I use snacks at the council meeting to wrangle people to come by my desk and share information.
Smart. All right, now let's talk about coyotes. Coyotes, obviously not all that exotic here, given our massive deer population. You can see them pretty frequently in our parks, but they are not supposed to be indoors. It's not a great place for a coyote. So we want to shout out our most famous coyote visitor back in 2019. A coyote wandered into the Music City Center downtown. Here's the reason why this matters, y'all, is I'm sure a lot of people have seen, and if you haven't, you must immediately Google the truly adorable photo of this sweet buddy sitting on the bathroom counter next to the mirrors, kind of next to the sink. It's so cute. And that is the true story of why Nashville SC's mascot is Tempo the Coyote.
Wow. Let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to get into animals that are quite a bit weirder, believe it or not. We'll tell you all about those stories right after this. The wait is over, Nashville. The zoo's newest adventure, Leopard Forest, opens this Friday. Explore 4 lush habitats filled with towering trees, winding vines, and natural beauty designed to make you feel like you've stepped into the heart of the wild. Encounter the critically endangered Amur leopard, the rarest big cat in the world. Say hello to the inquisitive DeBrazos monkeys, agile klipspringers, and playful colobus monkeys. And don't miss the return of the zoo's most iconic stars, the Maasai giraffes. Come to the zoo this Friday for the ribbon cutting at 9:30 a.m. The first 2,000 guests get a free Leopard Forest bandana. Feeling photogenic? Go to the zoo's social media and look for the Seeing Spots Challenge for a chance to win a zoo membership. Bring the family or bring a friend and come face to face with wonder. Nashville Zoo's Leopard Forest opens this Friday. Adventure awaits.
This episode is sponsored by Babbel. Have you ever picked a vacation spot based on where you won't need a phrase book? With Babbel, the language barrier no longer has to hold you back. You can start speaking a new language with confidence thanks to Babbel's conversation-based techniques, which quickly teach you useful words and phrases about the things you actually talk about in the real world. Babbel has more than a dozen languages available for you to learn at your own pace, with material tailored to your individual proficiency level, interests, and time availability. I'm David Ploth, CEO of CityCast, and I've been learning Spanish with Babbel. What I really love about learning Spanish with Babbel is that it works with me where I am. The app and the website keep track of what I've learned. They help me review what I probably forgot from last time, and always is keeping me engaged with a new challenge based on actual conversations I might have in Spain or Mexico or Colombia. Especially food conversations, because I love food conversations. So get talking with Babbel. I want you to learn another language, so I'm teaming up with Babbel to give you 55% off subscriptions, but only for CityCast listeners at babbel.com/CityCast. Get up to 55% off at babbel.com/CityCast. Spelled BABBEL.com/CityCast. Babbel.com/CityCast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Last year, a Nashville neighbor shared a video with News Channel 2 of multiple water buffalo who had escaped their enclosures. You're nodding your head, Erin. Do you remember this?
I don't remember this, but it sounds like something that would have been right up my alley if I had known about it.
Nobody called you?
Nobody called me on this one. I would have loved to have participated in this one, though.
Well, this one's wild because the video apparently shows over a dozen water buffalo roaming the streets in this neighborhood that's located about 10 minutes east of downtown. Their gate had been left open.
Yeah.
But then I guess the neighbor called, the owner/farmer quickly came to herd them back into his property. The guy that called into Channel 2 initially with the video, I guess, claimed that the farmer had been putting these water buffalo in his pond. And so people were sneaking onto the property to swim in this pond and then getting a shock of seeing these water buffalo. So don't sneak onto people's property.
There
and try
might
to go
be water
swimming.
buffalo.
There might be water buffalo.
This is hilarious to me. I totally understand cows getting out, and obviously dogs get out all the time because we've left our gate open. Shout out to all our many lost and found pets Facebook groups all over the city that do such a great job. But I'm confused what the benefit is of having a water buffalo or 10 water buffalo.
Do they do the same thing as cattle? Do they graze as beautifully as...
I would assume.
Yeah. I don't know.
How does somebody...
Call us at...
Call us. And our Google Voice number, 615-200-6392. If you or someone you love has a water buffalo, we just want to know what the point is. And also, where do you live that's 10 minutes away from downtown and has enough room for a water buffalo herd?
Yeah, please.
Single family housing?
All right, Erin, we're going to let you take this one because I think it happened in your district. There was a Burmese python loose.
Yes, there was a python loose. So the magic of all of our local Facebook pages, Hip Hermitage, person came on, posted some pictures of this python up wrapped around a gas station pump at the top. It's a BP. It's off Old Hickory Boulevard. Then the owner was scared that would it bite someone, then it would be liability for him. So there ended up being a woman who was able to help go get it. After the owner had kind of shooed it off the pump, it slithered over into some grassy area next to the gas station. And so this hero named Sierra got over there, got it scooped up with like her brother and got it to safety. And it was, truly a conspiracy because I think the most exciting animal stories happen when I have to be in Franklin at my day job. And so I was watching this unfold on my phone and could not even go and participate in this capture. But I was really grateful that they ended up catching it and, and rescuing it and getting it away from the gas station and also, any pets and also making sure that it survived its adventure.
Can you imagine going to pump gas and you reach up?
Nope. I would never pump gas again. I would just walk forever. I would not drive. Nope. Just take the bus from now on.
Wow.
There you go. All right, now we're going to be super mean and crush some dreams. We've got some urban legends in town. And folks, I'm sorry to say they are not true.
They are not true. First up, there were not piranhas swimming in Opry Mills Mall after the 2010 flood. I am sorry. This is very similar to in Houston, whenever there's a hurricane and we flood, someone's always like, there's sharks on the freeway. This is not true. So WPLN did a whole piece on this back in 2017. We thank them for their pursuit of the truth. Turns out that WKRN, a very real news outlet, reported on the piranhas right after the flood in a story that's since been deleted for not being true. But a WKRN reporter claimed that police reports indicated a pair of piranhas had somehow managed to escape from the enormous 150,000-gallon tank at the Aquarium restaurant at Opry Mills. Aquarium restaurant now closed. RIP. But then a Tennessean article published one day after the WKRN story quotes a rep from Landry's, the restaurant corporation who owned the restaurant, as saying, quote, most of the fish at the restaurant were contained and that no piranhas had escaped. But what if it was just the piranhas that got out and they didn't want to tell anybody? Well, according to Frank Fiss, who would go on to become TWRA's deputy director of business operations, no piranha could survive in the Cumberland River for very long. Piranhas are tropical fish that require high water temperatures to stay alive, and we do have winter.
Well, just recently, this past April Fool's, I think it was Old Hickory Lake that posted was like, our first great white shark. And I was like, oh my, okay, wait, April 1st. Okay, never mind. April Fool's. Great joke. I love those.
What's another urban legend, Marie?
Okay, I love this one because I also fell for it. Lions escaped from the zoo.
Oh.
So in 2023, circulating on Facebook was an image of two lions out for a stroll, apparently near the Percy Priest Dam. The post claimed that they had escaped from the Nashville Zoo, but this was sadly quickly debunked.
But good news for exotic animal lovers, a cheetah did get out at the Nashville Zoo. And y'all got to go to thestorytellersproject.com and watch the video of Nashville Zoo marketing director Jim Bartu. We've had him on the podcast telling this story because the way he recounts it is great. But we can't really find any news stories about it because apparently it just wasn't all that eventful. I did find, however, because I'm good at Google, a treasure for you listeners. This is from the Nashville Scene. They used to have a column called The Fabricator, and it was a satirical column that would run about the events of the day. And so I want to read this bit to you because it is Truly hilarious. Hala, the 8-year-old cheetah who escaped from his cage at the Nashville Zoo last week and was caught several hours later by zookeepers wielding tranquilizer guns, has angrily accused zoo employees of using excessive force in his recapture. Again, this is satire. Quote, Hala said that his background as an African-American animal might have been a source of what he called police zootality. You can't write satire anymore, kids.
I love it. My first idea for this episode was to get Ed the zebra on. Like get
You did make a very nice, very poorly graphically rendered, not with AI picture of Ed hosting our podcast on Instagram.
I did.
Folks can go check that out at CityCast Nashville. All right, let's do one more insane story. This one is, in fact, true. We got to go all the way back to the late 1970s when a tequila drinking monkey named Pete once escaped from a Nashville strip club after being spooked by a stripper's boa constrictor. We've got the folks over at Whiskey Riff and the Nashville Demystified podcast to thank for unearthing this gem. According to an AP story at the time titled Chimp Has Night Off, Returns to Dancer Owner. This was literally in the newspaper. After a footloose night on the town, a fire-eating, tequila-swilling, blue jean-clad monkey named Pete is back in the arms of his stripper. Pete is part of exotic dancer Sylvia La Serena's Snake and Simeon act. In the wee hours of Wednesday, after Tuesday night's show at the Classic Cat 2, he dashed out an open door and headed toward downtown, trailing his leash. Manager Gary Rook said the 3-foot, 35-pound monkey ran away because Pete's partner, a 75-pound boa constrictor, had rubbed him the wrong way. So people who want to complain about Lower Broadway now, we don't have any monkeys escaping from strip clubs.
So we got to bring it back to the realm of the useful. Erin, what do you do if you encounter a wild animal in Nashville?
Well, the first step is make sure that you leave it alone unless it's doing something that's impeding safety. But TWRA is our best immediate resource. However, there are times when TWRA may not be available, as in the time I was sharing about the python at the gas station. You can call MNPD, you could call animal control. They'll do their best to give you some guidance on what to do if the animal is, for instance, injured. The wildlife rehabs in our city are really good. Walden's Puddle, that is the best one. They have great resources, great information. You can always call your council person. Some of us have more courage than sense. And so some of us may try to help you find the animal, hold the animal, love the animal, and make sure it gets to safety.
Well, and in case this episode has inspired listeners to obtain an exotic pet of their own so it can escape and go viral, what are the current state laws for what animals are allowed in Nashville?
That's an excellent question. So there, some of the ones that we've talked about are definitely not allowed, but there's very specific information in the code, the Tennessee Code Annotated, that gives that information about what types of animals are allowed. Some animals are only allowed in zoos, and that's where they should stay. So, your typical rhinos, your giraffes, tigers,
hippos,
they should all remain in the zoo. And then what I found fascinating is that some classifications of these animals that don't require permits except by the Department of Agriculture included marsupials. And I thought, really? That's fascinating.
So you could have a kangaroo.
You could have a kangaroo, primates, different types of primates. Of course, we don't have to have, permits for things like rabbits, dogs, cats, chinchillas. I've seen wild animals being sold at the Walmart parking lot.
I enjoy that you are, just FYI, to our cat lovers out there, you are allowed to have a bobcat/domestic cat hybrid. So get on it.
Get on it, breeders.
This is crazy.
Wow.
We'll put a link to the kinds of animals you can have in our show notes, I guess. Marie, is that the best way to handle this? I mean, I'm kind of bummed that I'm not allowed to have an elephant.
An elephant.
You can't have an elephant. You also can't have a wild turkey.
What?
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Oh, but they're everywhere.
The wild animals
'Cause
are
they're
supposed
wild.
to stay wild. Is that the point of that?
I guess so.
I definitely think some of our East Nashville neighbors are keeping deer as pets. They just don't have a fenced-in yard. You know what I mean?
Oh, I think my mom might be guilty of that one. Well, I just want to remind listeners, we did do an episode recently with Metro Councilmember at large Quinn Evans Siegel about chickens in your backyard. That is legal. Check out that episode. I personally learned a lot. You are supposed to have a permit.
Erin, thank you so much for being here. I know that this is not your highest priority as a council member. What are you working on these days that you're excited to tell our listeners?
So, still involved in the pallet shelter conversations.
Yes, tell people what pallet shelters are.
So basically, they're little structures that have been purchased during COVID using a grant from the state. And those structures were to keep folks that were experiencing homelessness that may have contracted COVID out of congregate living situations. And we were thwarted by the state, had to take them all down because the state fire marshal thought that they were not safe. Now we finally got permission to be able to use them. They've been sitting in storage. And so there's an RFP out now to kind of get an idea if there's any organizations or faith communities that would be interested in taking some.
And these are basically like tiny houses.
Yeah, they're very small. They're like 100 square feet or so, but they're built for up to 2 people. And they're meant for like interim housing. So, there's a lot of different ways that they could be used. Some cities have pallet shelter, like interim villages. And so now basically we've broken the barrier that they can be used in Tennessee. And so that I feel like is a big win. And so other cities will also have the opportunity if they want to explore this as an alternative to outdoor spaces or congregate living situations to help folks that are in need.
Well, I hope everyone has learned what you can and cannot keep. I know myself am going to be checking out all gas stations from now on, making sure that there are not any large snakes there. But again, call us. Let us know if you have any stories of wild animals on the loose that maybe even you remember from childhood. We'd love to hear them. Whitney, what's our phone number again?
That is 615-200-6392.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for listening. And again, Erin, thanks for being here.
Thank you, guys.
That's all for today here on CityCast Nashville. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell your friends, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Nashville newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Toodles.